Representative Swalwell, we are asking for very little. We are asking you to use your position, the position that your constituents voted you into, to use your words and call for a permanent ceasefire. It is not a high bar. It is not a high ask. It is the bare minimum for you to stand up in opposition to human rights violations. And your refusal to do that, your refusal to call for an unequivocal ceasefire, we hold you accountable. And today, over 100 people in a public library in your district gathered together on a Saturday morning to hear stories and testimony and bear witness to those things that you will not. And you will be accountable. You will be held accountable, and your legacy will be one where you were held complicit in genocide. And that is something that you will have to live with. So we ask you to say and do exactly what you said you were, which is to reconsider, to hear the voices of those who are most hurting, to hear the voices of those who have lost hundreds of their family members, who are desperate, who have been through hell, who are without basic need and food and necessity, to use the position that you are in and do the bare minimum and call for a ceasefire, to stop contributing U.S. aid and U.S. military forces to Israel so that they can continue to bomb and kill indiscriminately. And until such time, we will continue to be here, and you will continue to hear from people over and over. Do the right thing.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody who made this possible, and I guess I want it to be really understood by those who may listen to us later and might want to know what happened here today, is that this was, I think, something historic for this congressional district and for Castro Valley, but it also is something historic as far as we know. I mean, there may be another, but as far as we know, this is the first time there was a People's Tribunal of this kind to hold a member of Congress accountable. You know, there have been equivalent actions taken, like, for example, the federal case that's still pending, that's on appeal against high-level officials of the executive branch, Biden, Blinken, and Austin. And that case will be heard in the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco in June. And the lawyers and law students and others who are supporting that case, and the plaintiffs who we heard from today, I mean, let's remember that the voices we heard today through Joe and Mac and Sandra and Nader were the voices of the actual witnesses in that case. In the record of that case, those were the voices that were heard in federal court in Judge White's courtroom on January 26th. And that in itself was a historic moment, because when was the last time that direct victims of U.S. policies had the chance to speak in a federal courtroom and to allege genocide, nothing less, the crime of crimes, against a president, a sitting secretary of state, a sitting secretary of defense? But that's what this proceeding was about too. This is another expression of that same framework, which is that just as those laws and mandates apply to the executive branch, they apply to the legislative branch and to the judiciary. And, you know, that judgment will come whether through law or through history. And this proceeding today contributed in both ways to that. So let's just think for a moment of those witnesses who are still awaiting justice from U.S. courts. And of course, meanwhile, the proceedings are continuing to unfold at the International Court of Justice. This coming April 8th and 9th, there's going to be a hearing about a new case that's been brought at the ICJ by Nicaragua against Germany for its complicity in genocide with Israel, right? As a co-conspirator, let's say. And meanwhile, there was a new order from the International Court of Justice that was issued just this past Friday, if I'm not mistaken, or Thursday, just within the last couple of days, that seeks to further elaborate on its initial order of January 26th, which of course found a plausible case of genocide. And so all of that converges, but that's why this today is so important in Castro Valley. That's why whether Representative Swalwell wants to or not, he is going to have to respond. Again, whether it's ethically, politically, legally, he will be held accountable, and with him, other complicit members of the US Congress. So really, all of you should feel very proud here in District 14 in Castro Valley, because you've really set a framework that many others will be able to learn from. Thank you.